Hello, welcome to my channel Animal World Series 1. The Indian peafowl is also known as the blue peafowl. Peafowl belongs to the family Phasianidae, also known as pheasant, and it is the largest in size among the family Phasianidae, and order Galliformes. Male peafowls are known as peacocks and female peafowls are known as peahens. This bird is cosmopolitan in distribution. However, India, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Nepal, Burma and Congo are considered to be its native homeland. 3 species of peafowl are found in different parts of the world. Parvo cristatus, also known as blue peafowl or Indian peafowl, occur in Indian subcontinent. They are threatened species. Parvo muticus, also known as green peafowl, found from eastwards to Sumatra. Now they are endangered species. Afroparvo congensis, also known as Congo peafowl or African peafowl, occur in Belgium, Congo. They are vulnerable species. Commonly, this bird is present in dry deciduous forests rather than green lands. Lands that are deprived of human populations and have plenty of water sources are the favorite habitats of this bird. Small territory and sufficient food supply are the basic requirements of this bird. Most of the peafowls are reported to exist in areas 900–200 meter above sea level. This bird has the ability to adapt according to variations in weather conditions and can survive well in both hot and cold climates. Indian peafowl is thought to be one of the largest flying birds. Attractive train and plumage are the reasons behind their worldwide fame. Their mean weight amounts to 2.7 plus or minus 0.6 kg, length varies between 0.86 meter to 2.12 meter, and the wingspan stretches from 1.4 to 1.7 meters. This bird has lengthy and robust grayish-brown legs that are equipped with brush for their protection from predators. Spur of about 2.5 centimeters in length are fortified in both sexes. Males use them to compete with other males during breeding season. The Indian peafowl is polygamous and generally has 3 breeding peahens in its harness. Color of female bird is grayish-brown to cream, while the chicks are light yellow to brown in color. Neck and breast are of bright blue color, golden feathers have lines on their sides and backs, while trains sparkle with multiple colors. Pabish et al., 2010. Spreading out of male's train, shine in green, gold, brown and black feathers. Around the outer edges of fan about 35 to 45 V-shaped ocelli are present. Hart, 2002. This intricate pattern gives advantage to the bird to disappear in foliage and is also beneficial in mating. The peafowl has a long train made up of elongated upper tail covert feathers which bear colorful eye spots. They raised into a fan or grand display during courtship, while the peahens lack the train and dull brown plumage. The male and female peafowl also distinguished by their neck color appearance, i.e. male recognized by blue neck and female recognized by green neck. The Indian peafowl lives mainly on ground of open forest, urban habitats, agriculture field, along stream with good vegetation and close to human habitation in semi-feral conditions. The peafowl bird is listed in the threatened category of International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN, Red List or Red Data Book. Peafowls are omnivorous in nature, eating plants parts, flower petals, leaves, fruits, cotton fruits, acacia seeds, cyperus rhizomes, standing cereal crop, seeds, insects, reptiles, amphibians and small mammals. They play an important role in regulating the ecosystem balance and functioning. Also, they are having religious importance. Peafowl roost in groups during night on tall trees, rocks, building or pylons. The population of the Indian peafowl is on the decline and the bird has become locally extinct in some areas of its past distribution range. Numerous threats to its existing population include habitat loss and degradation, human population pressure, illegal poaching, intensive agricultural practice and use of pesticides, retaliatory killing, the collection of eggs for consumption and killing for medicine. The African spurred tortoise is also sometimes called the sulcata tortoise, taken from the Latin word sulcus meaning furrow, and referring to the furrows on the tortoise's scales. They inhabit the southern edge of the Sahara Desert and the Sahel, a transitional ecoregion of semi-arid grasslands, savannas, and thorn scrub in the African countries of Burkina Faso, Chad, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Mali, Mauritania, Nigeria, Senegal, and Sudan. The third largest tortoise species in the world and the largest species of mainland tortoise, adults can reach 83 centimeters in carapace length and can weigh up to 105 kilograms. They are known to live more than 100 years. This species presents a pale brown or yellow upper shell, their head is brown and they have darker colored jaws. Hatchlings can range in length between 4 to 5 centimeters and in weight between 25 to 30 grams and will reach their full potential within 15 to 20 years. The IUCN Red List of Threatened Species classifies them as vulnerable. Tortoises are reptiles, so have an ectothermic metabolism. They rely on external sources to acquire heat and regulate their body temperature by exchanging heat with their surrounding environment. If natural sunlight is not available, other sources of heat should be supplied. These can be heat lamps and substrate heaters, but to regulate their body temperature, tortoises also need to be able to lose heat as much as gain it. During the day, these tortoises excavate burrows up to 15 feet underground to keep cool. These burrows are also important humid microclimates, which are necessary for maintaining humidity in extremely dry climates. Sulcators have incredible water-retaining abilities, including thickened skin to prevent moisture loss, minimal liquid excrement, in addition to relying on these high-humidity burrows. Sulcators are abundant in captivity, but their populations are declining in the wild due to human influences. Sulcators are sometimes referred to as gentle giants. They are known for their docile and curious natures, and some keepers even report their sulcators recognizing them. While most sulcators become fairly tolerant of humans, they generally don't enjoy handling, and as adults their size makes them difficult to handle. It's important to keep in mind that a tiny juvenile will grow into a large, long-lived reptile. That's why sulcators are best suited for advanced keepers. It should also be noted that sulcators do not hibernate, brumate. There may be some increases in activity during the summer and decreases during the winter, but this species does remain active year-round. Like all chelonians, sulcators require UVB light to synthesize vitamin D3 in their skin. Vitamin D3 is needed for proper metabolism of calcium and prevention of metabolic bone disease. Wild sulcators are grazers, and are known for being very enthusiastic about mealtimes. The bulk of their diet, 75 to 80%, should be high-fiber, low-carb, and low-fat roughage. This includes hay, grass, timothy, orchard, grasses, dandelions and dandelion greens, clovers, hibiscus leaves and flowers, and other leafy weeds. Ideally, a sulcator should graze outdoors on a pesticide-free lawn. 20 to 25% of the diet should be vegetables and leafy greens, including endive, cactus pads, arugula, escarole, peppers, squash, pumpkin, zucchini, cucumber, turnip greens, and radish greens. No more than 0 to 5% of the diet should be fruit, as fruits are very sugary. Appropriate fruits include berries, bananas, apples, and melon. Avoid rhubarb, avocado, onion, and garlic. Dietary variety is extremely important to prevent vitamin and nutrient deficiencies. Sulcators should be fed daily. A calcium carbonate-based calcium powder with no phosphorus should be sprinkled on salads 2 to 3 per week, and a multivitamin supplement with vitamin A should be provided weekly for adults. Reproductively active females and hatchlings should be supplied with calcium daily, and juveniles should receive calcium supplementation 3 to 4 per week. Repashy Super Veggie is a good multivitamin for tortoises. If you are providing adequate UVB, calcium powder does not need to contain D3. Arcadia, Repashy, and Zoomed all have good products. Follow your brand's recommendations to avoid overdosing. Animal proteins, bread, oats, candy, and other high-sugar foods should be avoided. High protein and rapid growth may be associated with health issues. Fresh water large enough to soak in, but not so deep that they have to swim, should always be provided. Sulcators often drink and defecate at the same time, so water dishes may need to be cleaned daily. Sulcators housed outdoors also enjoy mud pits. 10 to 15 minutes of weekly soaking in a lukewarm bath up to the tortoise's chin may also encourage proper hydration. Males have a longer and thicker tail, along with an anal scute next to the tail that is wider than a female's. A male also has a slightly concave plastron to make it easier to mount the female, along with prominent gular scutes, the scutes closest to the head. Sexual maturity is reached around 5 to 8 years. Like other reptiles, sulcators can carry salmonella. Always wash your hands after handling reptiles or items from their enclosure. Bladder stones are very common in sulcators. These stones can become so large that they completely obstruct the tortoise's ability to eliminate waste, and they are extremely painful. It is thought that bladder stone formation may be related to chronic dehydration, vitamin deficiency, calcium deficiency, inappropriate diets, and lack of exercise. Sulcators may also be prone to malnutrition, especially vitamin A deficiency, beak overgrowth, nutritional secondary hyperparathyroidism, metabolic bone disease, and reproductive problems. Shell pyramiding is very common in sulcators, and previously thought to be caused by excessive dietary protein and rapid growth. Newer evidence is pointing to low humidity, but studies are ongoing. A healthy sulcator's shell is quite smooth and uniform, and it should not have raised lumps. Your sulcator should be examined by your veterinarian every 6 to 12 months. The alpaca, Vacuna pacos, is a domesticated species of South American camelid that is extensively used as a source of livelihood. Alpaca or Andean sheep lives on the highlands of South America in the Andes, at an altitude of 3,500 to 5,000 meters in Ecuador, southern Peru, northern Chile and western Bolivia. Alpaca belongs to the cloven-hoofed detachment, the Corpus callosum, the camelid family, the Vicuña family, and the alpaca species. Earlier, alpaca was mistakenly assigned to the genus of llamas. Later, scientists make changes to the taxonomy. This is due to the fact that the ancestors of the alpaca are vicuñas, and llamas are guanacos. While the importance of the alpaca for meat, hides, and fiber in South America dates back thousands of years, the popularity of the alpaca has only recently grown in the United States. In the United States, alpacas are primarily raised as investment animals and bred for superior genetics relating to fiber and show conformation. Alpaca breeding has been mainly oriented towards the production of fiber and, more recently, meat, to supply the gastronomic boom in Peruvian cuisine. This is especially due to a specialized international market that demands high-quality fiber and an incipient interest of the gourmet market, that is interested in nutritional properties of their meat. The respiratory type is characterized by increased metabolism. Animals have elongated limbs, a long neck and trunk, straight thin lines. Intensive oxidative processes inhibit fat deposition in alpaca. In the physique, the free proximal femur is noticeable. The callosities have no hooves, and on the two-fingered limbs there are only blunt, curved claws. They must be trimmed to avoid curvature and weakening of the joints of the legs. They do not rely on the ends of the fingers, like ungulates, but on the totality of the phalanges of the fingers. The lower surface of the foot is a pair of corpus callosum. Unlike artiodactyls, alpaca does not trample grass, which favorably affects pastures. Reproduction of alpaca has its own characteristics, and does not have a clear seasonality when animals are raised on a farm. Unlike sheep and cattle, female is in a constant state of estrus. Ovulation occurs 26 hours after stimulation. Artificial insemination is difficult due to the laying position of the female during mating. Abroad, embryo implantation is practiced. In natural mating, high mortality of the embryos is observed. Only 50% of them remain viable after 30 days of embryonic development. The female's pregnancy lasts 11 months. One offspring weighing 8 kilograms is born. The lactation period lasts 6 months. Maturity in females occurs by 18 months, in males by 2.5 years. Alpaca is always in the follicular phase. Therefore, until the mating occurs, the alpacas are induced ovulators, which means that copulation and penetration of the cervix must occur for ovulation and subsequent fertilization in order to obtain a pregnancy. Due to the fact that alpacas are induced ovulators, they do not show a defined estrus cycle, which can result in varying lengths of receptivity and non-receptivity. The uterine horn is similar to that of bovine with long horns and a short uterine body. The uterine horns and ovaries are unfixed due to lack of ligamentous structures. The placentation is epithelocorial and fills both horns. The detection of ovulation can be confirmed through transrectal ultrasound around 3 to 4 days after breeding when a corpus luteum is visible and the female shows signs of sexual non-receptivity. Pregnancy can be determined at approximately 15 days using transrectal ultrasound through the identification of a pre-implantation conceptus. The African civet, Civetictus civetta, is a large viverrid native to sub-Saharan Africa, where it is considered common and widely distributed in woodlands and secondary forests. The African civet cat, Vivera civetta, is native to Ethiopia, Guinea, the Senegal, and other places in equatorial Africa. Civet cat farming is an ancient practice in Ethiopia, and the Queen of Sheba allegedly presented civet musk to King Solomon as gift, and even today civet musk is an important export commodity. Civet cats are naturally wild in Ethiopia. However, it was estimated that more than 200 farms with about 4,000 civets in captivity found in Ethiopia. The civet cat is the one of the 4 vertebrate mammals producing an aromatic medicinal product. In some countries, it is threatened by hunting, and wild-caught individuals are kept for producing civetone for the perfume industry. Ethiopia is the world's main supplier of musk for the perfume industry, and it has 90% share in the export of civet. The African civet is primarily nocturnal and spends the day sleeping in dense vegetation, but wakes up at sunset. It is a solitary mammal with a unique coloration. The black and white blotches covering its coarse pelage and rings on the tail are an effective cryptic pattern. The black bands surrounding its eyes closely resemble those of the raccoon. Other distinguishing features are its disproportionately large hindquarters and its erectile dorsal crest. It is an omnivorous generalist, preying on small vertebrates, invertebrates, eggs, carrion, and vegetable matter. It is one of the few carnivores capable of eating toxic invertebrates such as termites and millipedes. It detects prey primarily by smell and sound rather than by sight. It is the only living member of the genus Civetictus. The African civet has a habit of following regular paths and uses dung middens, civetries, civet latrines, and musk to mark its territory and announce its presence both in mates and adversaries. Civets are trapped in the wild using a noose with a bell attached. The trappers charge between 120 and 150 Ethiopian birr, for a civet, payable after 2 months to ensure survival. Unfortunately, captive civets often die of a disease resembling canine parvovirus infection. Most civet farmers keep 10 to 15 civets for years in individual cages, FAO, 2000. Their cages are so small that they are unable to even turn around, which causes severe welfare problems. The cages are placed in rows on trestles in dark rooms of airless smoke-filled huts. Smoke is used to get rid of fly worry. For this purpose, fire is left smoldering to maintain high temperature, which farmers believe increase the amount of musk production. No bedding is provided, and hypothermia is a common cause of death. Hygiene is usually very poor, and urine and feces are left to decay on the floor. Age at sexual maturity ranges from 3/4 to 1 year, and gestation length was 65 to 75 days with a maximum of 4 kits per litter. Females are polyestrous and are able to have 2 or 3 litters a year. The average lifespan of the African civet is 15 to 20 years. Females are polyestrous and are able to have 2 or 3 litters a year. Civet musk is a foul-smelling scent produced by the anal glands of the male civet cat. This is because males produce larger quantity and better quality musk than females. Musk is collected using a spoon made from cow horn every 11 to 12 days during the rainy season and 9 to 10 days during dry season. Therefore, a civet will yield about 300 to 400 grams musk a year. Ethiopia has a worldwide monopoly for civet musk production and annually exports about 2,000 kilograms of musk worth about $900,000. This civet is exported to Europe and the United States for perfumery. A new market has also opened to Far East countries such as China, Japan, and Korea. Exporters receive around $400 for each kilogram of civet musk, with farmers receiving about half that amount. Civet musk also traditionally used as medicine to treat various ailments. The use of civetone, refined compound of civet musk, is more preferable by high-quality perfume industries, even though some perfume manufacturers now use only synthetic musk. Musk production was secondary source of income for the farmers to crop production, and even for few of them it is the primary source of income. However, it is a labor-intensive practice, and there is a considerable mistreatment and welfare problem in captive civets management. These among others include inadequate nutrition, poor housing and handling, parasitic load, insufficient restraint and musk extraction facilities, and as a result even they can be killed for their musk. Jackals are medium-sized canids native to Africa and Eurasia. The golden jackal, Canis aureus, is the most northerly and most widely distributed of the 3 jackal species, C. adustrus, C. mesomelas, and C. aureus. It is the only jackal species that occurs outside the sub-Saharan Africa. The golden jackal occurs in North and East Africa, Southeastern Europe, Middle East and South Asia up to Burma and Thailand. This implies that the golden jackal is a habitat generalist, similar to the coyote, Canis latrans, in North America. Both species are generalist predators with adaptable social systems that are able to exist in close proximity to humans and exploit agro-ecosystems. However, in some parts of their range, golden jackals have either disappeared or their numbers are shrinking due to anthropogenic causes. The African golden wolf, Canis lupasta, was also formerly considered as a jackal. While they do not form a monophyletic clade, all jackals are opportunistic omnivores, predators of small to medium-sized animals and proficient scavengers. Their long legs and curved canine teeth are adapted for hunting small mammals, birds, and reptiles, and their large feet and fused leg bones give them a physique well suited for long-distance running, capable of maintaining speeds of 16 km per hour, 10 miles per hour, for extended periods of time. Jackals are crepuscular, most active at dawn and dusk. Their most common social unit is a monogamous pair, which defends its territory from other pairs by vigorously chasing intruders and marking landmarks around the territory with their urine and feces. The territory may be large enough to hold some young adults, which stay with their parents until they establish their own territories. Jackals may occasionally assemble in small packs, for example, to scavenge a carcass, but they normally hunt either alone or in pairs. Like foxes and coyotes, jackals are often depicted as clever sorcerers in the myths and legends of their regions. They are mentioned roughly 14 times in the Bible. It is frequently used as a literary device to illustrate desolation, loneliness, and abandonment, with reference to its habit of living in the ruins of former cities and other areas abandoned by humans. It is called wild dog in several translations of the Bible. In the King James Bible, Isaiah chapter 13 verse 21 refers to doleful creatures, which some commentators suggest are either jackals or hyenas. In the Indian Panchatantra stories, the jackal is mentioned as wily and wise. In Bengali tantric tradition, they represent the goddess Kali. It is said she appears as jackals when meat is offered to her. The Sura religion and creation myth posits jackals were among the first animals created by Rug, the supreme deity of the Sura people. The golden jackal is a medium-sized canid in the genus Canis, family Canidae, suborder Fissipedia, order Carnivora. It is distinguished by its basic golden coat color that varies from pale creamy yellow to dark tawny hue on a seasonal basis, and a mixture of black, brown and white hairs on the back. Golden jackals resemble wolves in general appearance, but are smaller, lighter, have proportionately shorter legs, have more elongated torsos and shorter tails. The iris is light or dark brownish. Golden jackals in India tend to have shorter ears than their North African cousins. Adults are 74 to 106 centimeters, 29 to 42 in, long, 38 to 50 centimeters, 15 to 20 in, high at the shoulder and weigh 7 to 15 kilograms, 15 to 33 pounds. The tail is straighter, shorter and brushier than that of wolves. On average, the body weight of adult male and female golden jackals is estimated 6.6 kilograms and 5.8 kilograms, respectively, with an approximate 12% difference between sexes. The belly underpart is light pale ginger to cream. Unique light markings on the throat and chest make it possible to differentiate individuals from the population. The tail is bushy with a tan to black tip. Females have 4 pairs of mammae. The skull of the golden jackal is more similar to that of the coyote, C. latrans, and the grey wolf, C. lupus, than that of the black-backed jackal, side-striped jackal, C. adustus, and Ethiopian wolf, C. simensis. The dental formula is 3 divided by 3 minus 1 divided by 1 minus 4 divided by 4 minus 2 divided by 3 equals 42. The skull of the golden jackal is less massively built than that of wolves, and have narrower and more pointed muzzles. The projections of the skull are well developed, but weaker than those of the wolf. In jackals, the anterior incisors of the nasal bones has a medial protrusion, unlike wolves. There are 18 characteristics which distinguish the skulls of golden jackals from those of domestic dogs. Among them, the jackal has a smaller inflation of the frontal region, a shallower forehead, smaller upward curvature of the zygomatic arches and a longer and thinner lower jaw. Occasionally, they develop a horny growth on the skull. This horn usually measures half an inch in length, and is concealed under fur. The teeth are similar to those of wolves, but are overall more trenchant in character, particularly in the upper molars, which have higher cusps, are slenderer and their cutting ridge is much more developed. The canine teeth are thinner than the wolves, and the carnassials relatively weaker, Hepner and Naumoth, 1998. Also, the cingulum on the external edge of the first upper molar is broader and more distinctly marked. North African jackals tend to have longer carnassials than those living in the Middle East. The golden jackal is widespread and is fairly common throughout its range, with high densities observed in areas with abundant food and cover. A minimum population estimate of over 80,000 is estimated for the Indian subcontinent. Population estimates for Africa are not available. On the African continent, golden jackals inhabit the national parks, non-protected cultural forests and the associated pastoral areas. In the Serengeti National Park, jackal density is as high as 4 adults per square kilometer. Black-backed jackals, golden jackals, side-striped jackals, African wild dogs and bat-eared foxes are sympatric in the Serengeti ecosystem and Rift Valley of Tanzania and Kenya, reflecting the high density and abundance of food in the region. The golden jackal is widespread in North Africa and Northeast Africa, occurring from Senegal on the west coast of Africa to Egypt in the east, in a range that includes Morocco, Djibouti, Kenya, Mali, Mauritania, Somalia, Sudan, Tunisia, Niger, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Algeria and Libya in the north to Nigeria, Chad and Tanzania in the south. The ostrich is the largest living bird, measuring up to 2.75 meters in height and up to 150 kilograms in mass. The adult male bird is mainly black with white wing primaries and tail feathers, and a gray-colored neck. The female is a dull brown-gray all over with light gray to white wing primaries and tail feathers. Juvenile birds resemble the females, whereas young chicks are mottled brown, yellow, orange and cream with black quills on the back. Ostrich feathers are fluffy and symmetrical. The combination of long legs and neck elevates the head some 1.8 to 2.75 meters above the ground, where the exceptionally large eyes, 50 millimeters diameter, the largest of any vertebrate, are widely separated on the head and positioned to produce an image from in front of and below the eye. The large blind spot behind and above the head is considered to shade the eye. The ear flaps face to the rear of the bird. Unable to fly, the ostrich spends its time walking around its environment, only running if threatened. Nevertheless, these birds can achieve around 60 to 70 kilometers h1, and a large proportion of the energy required for running is probably saved by elastic storage in tendons. Leg anatomy reflects the walking lifestyle of the ostrich. In common with other birds, the ostrich is digitigrade, but uniquely, it has only 2 toes. The wings of the ostrich are poorly developed and there are no substantial pectoral muscles. A keel is absent from the sternum, which is large and bowl-shaped. Although unable to fly, the structure of the wing bones and the presence of air sacs, some pneumatized bones and the presence of the pygostyle strongly suggest that the ostrich evolved from a flying ancestor. Fossil evidence suggests that ostrich-like birds were once well distributed over Africa and Eurasia, extending from the Mediterranean across to India and China, although their exact origins are not clear. The lineage may be very old, from the Eocene 65 to 38 million years ago, although there is stronger evidence that ostriches evolved during the Miocene period. The ostrich, or the camel bird, because of its similarities with dromedaries, was named in 1758 by Linnaeus as Struthiocamelus, based on the Greek and Latin name Struthocamelus. There are 4 extant subspecies, all confined to Africa and occupying largely exclusive geographical areas. The subspecies SC, Syriacus Rothschild, was formerly found in the Syrian desert and North Arabia but was hunted to extinction by 1941. The North African subspecies SC, Camelus, was heavily persecuted during the 20th century and is considered to be threatened. SC. molybdophanes is the most distinct race, although under artificial conditions it has produced fertile hybrids with SC. Masaicus. The preferred habitat is open short grass plains and semi-desert, although ostriches are found in the hot fringing desert steppes of the Western Sahara and the true deserts of Namibia. They avoid areas of tall grass and dense woodland but will occupy or cross more open woodland in southern Africa. Ostriches can be found in desert grassland, semi-arid savanna, karoo shrubland and coastal FYNBOS. Coastal FYNBOS is unique to South Africa and is characterized by a preponderance of small shrub bushes of the Protea and Erica families. Bird densities are around 1 per 520 square kilometers, except where protected, when they can reach 0.8 birds kilometer 2. The ostrich was domesticated in South Africa in the 19th century in order to use its feather to make fashionable women clothes. From 1980, intensive ostrich industry was initiated on the basis of feather meat and leather production. The Struthiocamelus species has different subspecies as rednecks: Struthiocamelus masaicus, Struthiocamelus camelus, bluenecks, Struthiocamelus molybdophanes, Struthiocamelus australis, and the South African blackneck Struthiocamelus Camelus domesticus, on which the ostrich industry is built and was created by the synthetic cross of the Struthiocamelus camelus and the Struthiocamelus australis. The 6 most common behavior patterns are standing, walking, trotting, sitting, foraging, and pecking. The observations are that ostriches spend most of their time standing except for bathing, resting, and nest making. Layers spend twice more time with foraging and pecking than males, but males pace 2 times more than females. When ostriches peck, they do not sort out things as breeding season is coming. Hens and males display a kind of aggression which becomes stronger while going into summer. They are violent toward juveniles, other species, and even each other. According to Deeming, 1997, ostriches sit more in rainy weather than in dry periods. As for the time of the day, they stand more in the morning than in noon, and spend more time with drinking and foraging in the afternoon. Ostriches are more active in the morning and rest more in the afternoon due to the hot temperature. Yawning occurs right after hatching as the consequence of tiredness. Chicks get tired after moving some meters in the nest, then they gather, yawn deeply, and stretch. Yawning is generally displayed before sleeping, stretching is showed after waking up. These activities are endogenous and are to regulate the work of the breathing and circulatory system. These activities can be triggered by the lack of oxygen, or a homeostatic connection between the central breathing system and the extrapyramidal path. Running and dancing can mean a game, but it can be the sign of threat when they hear unknown noises. 1-week-old chicks run and dance the most compared to the elder ones. They also like bathing in the sand, mainly in the afternoon. As for their thermoregulatory activity, they open their beaks and pant, and open their wings. They use their wings against hot climate to regulate temperature, as well as to protect their chicks and eggs, and to show courtship. To heat themselves, they lay down and cover their thighs with their wings. They are able to freeze instead of going into the pen, that is why we have to close them in winter. When they are afraid of something, they raise their tail feathers up, hiss, open their wings and ruffle their feathers, especially on their neck. It can be seen mainly on males. Forward kicking is mostly performed by juveniles and adults in the breeding season. When an individual meets an aggressive one, it runs away or submits itself without defend. Such animals can even die from stress, injuries, or exhaustion. According to observations, 80% of females make relationship with one male, 20% of them mate with several males during the breeding season. It is typical of their courtship behavior that females initiate relationship. If a potential male appears, they pose in front of him and send other females and juveniles aggressively away. The female expresses her physiological readiness to mate by a clucking sound made by rapidly opening and closing her beak. The redness of the beak and the skin of neck, thigh, and foot can be seen in males when they accept the female closing to them. If the males want to mate, they display courtship to the female. The female lifts its wings up and down, put down its head, and lifts up its neck and tail and urinate on the ground. Before mating, the male stamps several times, puts one of its legs on the back of the female and attempt to find cloaca contact. During mating, the male displays the movements of courtship and groans at the end of the mating. The mating lasts for about 1 minute, while the female does not show any special signs except for opening beaks and stretching its neck ahead. The female which mates with the male first becomes the major female. It lays eggs first in the middle of the nest, then the consecutive females become minor females and start to lay eggs 2 or 3 days after the major one. Females lay eggs every second day, but major females can visit the nest every day. In this case, when a minor female comes, sometimes it has to wait for the major one to allow her lay egg. This waiting time can last for 20 minutes. The major female waits for her laying eggs, then sits back. Laying takes only a minute, but minor females attempt to appear to lay eggs when the major hen is not present. The major hen lays about 9 to 14 eggs in a nest, altogether 26 during the breeding season. The minor ones, generally 3, lay 3 to 20 eggs, with an average 11. They lay them in the late afternoon or in the early evening, and to fill a nest they need 30 days. Males also can display courtship against each other, but this is the sign of aggression, when they appear on each other's territory. Guarding and hatching is the duty of the major hen and the male, respectively. The male spends 71% of his time hatching eggs one day. They switch in the morning and in the afternoon as well. They pick each other's back and tail feathers. It can be triggered by stress, overcrowding, boredom, and occurs more frequently in winter due to the long closed period. Toe and face picking can be a serious problem, when the ostriches peck even each other's eyelids. Causes are the same as in feather pecking. Individuals showing this abnormal behavior permanently raise their head, and put it on their back. After a while it is difficult for them to walk, eat and drink. It can appear as the consequence of confinement or the lack of thiamine. The word duck comes from Old English *duchi, diver, a derivative of the verb *duken, to duck, bend down low as if to get under something, or dive, because of the way many species in the dabbling duck group feed by appending. Compare with Dutch duiken and German tauchen, to dive. Duck is the common name for numerous species of waterfowl in the family Anatidae. Ducks are generally smaller and shorter necked than swans and geese, which are members of the same family. Divided among several subfamilies, they are a form taxon. They do not represent a monophyletic group, the group of all descendants of a single common ancestral species, since swans and geese are not considered ducks. All ducks belong to the biological order Anseriformes, a group that contains the ducks, geese and swans, as well as the screamers, and the magpie goose. All except the screamers belong to the biological family Anatidae. Within the family, ducks are split into a variety of subfamilies and tribes. The number and composition of these subfamilies and tribes is the cause of considerable disagreement among taxonomists. Some base their decisions on morphological characteristics, others on shared behaviors or genetic studies. The number of suggested subfamilies containing ducks ranges from 2 to 5. The significant level of hybridization that occurs among wild ducks complicates efforts to tease apart the relationships between various species. The largest of these, the Anatini, contains the dabbling, or river, ducks named for their method of feeding primarily at the surface of fresh water. The diving ducks, also named for their primary feeding method, make up the tribe Aethione. The sea ducks, of the tribe Mergenia diving ducks which specialize on fish and shellfish and spend a majority of their lives in salt water. The tribe Oxyareni contains the stifftails, diving ducks notable for their small size and stiff, upright tails. Ducks are mostly aquatic birds, and may be found in both freshwater and seawater. A male is called a drake and the female is called a duck. Ducks are classified into domesticated duck and wild duck. Domesticated duck are ducks that are raised for meat, eggs and down. Ducks are sometimes confused with several types of unrelated water birds with similar forms, such as loons or divers, grebes, gallinules and coots. Many ducks are also kept for show, as pets, or for their ornamental value. Almost all varieties of domesticated duck are descended from the mallard, Anis platyrhynchos, apart from the Muscovy duck, Chirina moscata. A duckling is a young duck in downy plumage or baby duck, but in the food trade a young domestic duck which has just reached adult size and bulk and its meat is still fully tender, is sometimes labeled as a duckling. Wild duck. These non-domesticated breeds, and there are more than 35 wild strains of the genus, and is a benefit from it economically only in hunting. The overall body plan of ducks is elongated and broad, and they are also relatively long-necked, albeit not as long-necked as the geese and swans. The body shape of diving ducks varies somewhat from this in being more rounded. The bill is usually broad and contains serrated pectins, which are particularly well defined in the filter-feeding species. In the case of some fishing species the bill is long and strongly serrated. The scaled legs are strong and well developed, and generally set far back on the body, more so in the highly aquatic species. The wings are very strong and are generally short and pointed, and the flight of ducks requires fast continuous strokes, requiring in turn strong wing muscles. 3 species of steamer duck are almost flightless, however. Many species of duck are temporarily flightless while molting. They seek out protected habitat with good food supplies during this period. This molt typically precedes migration. The drakes of northern species often have extravagant plumage, but that is molted in summer to give a more female-like appearance, the eclipse plumage. Southern resident species typically show less sexual dimorphism, although there are exceptions such as the paradise shelduck of New Zealand, which is both strikingly sexually dimorphic and in which the female's plumage is brighter than that of the male. The plumage of juvenile birds generally resembles that of the female. Female ducks have evolved to have a corkscrew-shaped vagina to prevent rape. Ducks have a cosmopolitan distribution, and are found on every continent except Antarctica. Several species manage to live on subantarctic islands, including South Georgia and the Auckland Islands. Ducks have reached a number of isolated oceanic islands, including the Hawaiian Islands, Micronesia and the Galapagos Islands, where they are often vagrants and less often residents. A handful are endemic to such far-flung islands. Some duck species, mainly those breeding in the temperate and Arctic northern hemisphere, are migratory. Those in the tropics are generally not. Some ducks, particularly in Australia where rainfall is erratic, are nomadic, seeking out the temporary lakes and pools that form after localized heavy rain. Ducks eat food sources such as grasses, aquatic plants, fish, insects, small amphibians, worms, and small mollusks. Ducks generally only have one partner at a time, although the partnership usually only lasts 1 year. Larger species and the more sedentary species, like fast river specialists, tend to have pair bonds that last numerous years. Most duck species breed once a year, choosing to do so in favorable conditions, spring, summer or wet seasons. Ducks also tend to make a nest before breeding, and, after hatching, lead their ducklings to water. Mother ducks are very caring and protective of their young, but may abandon some of their ducklings if they are physically stuck in an area they cannot get out of, such as nesting in an enclosed courtyard, or are not prospering due to genetic defects or sickness brought about by hypothermia, starvation, or disease. Ducklings can also be orphaned by inconsistent late hatching, where a few eggs hatch after the mother has abandoned the nest and led her ducklings to water. Ducks have many predators. Ducklings are particularly vulnerable, since their inability to fly makes them easy prey not only for predatory birds but also for large fish like pike, crocodilians, predatory testudines such as the alligator snapping turtle, and other aquatic hunters, including fish-eating birds such as herons. Ducks' nests are raided by land-based predators, and brooding females may be caught unaware on the nest by mammals, such as foxes, or large birds, such as hawks or owls. Adult ducks are fast flyers, but may be caught on the water by large aquatic predators including big fish such as the North American muskie and the European pike. In flight, ducks are safe from all but a few predators such as humans and the peregrine falcon, which uses its speed and strength to catch ducks.